Hey everyone, welcome to Daily Flight Sim again. Today I'm going to be doing a flight from Chennai to Tirupati. There's a specific reason why I chose this particular flight is because I want to show you some of the things that some of the tools that I've recently added to make my flying experience much better, right? I want to show you three things. One is a really cool app on the iPhone, which you can use for planning your flights and stuff. Then uh, I've got a panel, a EXT panel, which shows me information about the flight at any point of time, about my plane, and the various instruments are, as well as indications. So it's a very easy way for me to refer to it and find it. And the third thing I want to show you is actually an ATC plugin that I've been using, which is much more forgiving than the Explain ATC and generally handles the routing much better. So yeah, let me quickly show you these three utilities. I'm not going to go into detail, but I just want to show you how these help. So the first thing I want to show you is this app called Garmin. It's called Garmin Pilot, and what it does is it gives you maps. So what I find with Sky Vector is you don't get the navigation and fixes with that. So what happens is if you're like doing a flight plan and you have some specific waypoints which you want to go through, you can't really program that. You can't really find those in Sky Vector. So that's why I got this. But Garmin is like a huge. It's a very nice app. Um, on the one side of it, it helps you plan your flights, uh, right? And then you can get the frequencies of your radios and things of that side. Like I'm just trying to quickly show that to you once again. Yeah, so you can get the frequency of any particular VOR. I've currently selected the MFV VOR. You can also you can add waypoints, and you can really plan your flight out. So that is a really nice feature of Garmin. But then it also has another beautiful feature which I'm currently using. I mean, it's got a lot of features actually. It can even analyze the terrain for you. So here's sort of a graph of the plane in the direction that we're going, and you can see it's actually the flight path is actually cutting through some hills. But then the new ATC plugin that I have is also going to route around that. So I'm going to show you that part separately, but this is another feature. Uh, but here's the thing that I really liked a lot, which is the checklist feature. So the first thing I did when I saw this was there, that my entire C90B checklist, I loaded it onto this now. So it's very convenient. You can see the list here, and it's got this nice button at the bottom where you can just keep marking off items, right? And you can just clear the checklist with just hitting the clear button on top. So advantage of me doing this especially is that I don't have to deal with that the checklist window showing up on the plane, which kind of obstructs the view, right? So yeah, so that is and also a checklist being on the phone is definitely much more comfortable than having to do it on the screen, moving around the mouse. It's much more icky than dealing with just the phone here. The only problem here is that it sometimes gets locked, so I have to unlock it. But it's not too much of a pain. Combined with really great ATC and the EXT panel plugin, um, I'm really relaxing during the flights. Like earlier, I was not relaxing. I used to always be worried about what the ATC is going to do. I get a lot of instructions, but yeah, a lot of that is now changed. So let me quickly run you through the other two plugins. So the other plugin I have here is I'll show it you on the monitor too here, right? So this is EXT panel. It's a really simple and beautiful software. What it does is there's a plugin and there's a separate app. The app kind of connects to explain via the plugin, and then it shows you all the information in real time about about your plane, right? So I've got the speed here, I've got the altitude, HSI, and my gyro, and I've got the sort of a map over here with the compass and heading. It's also showing me some of the status like gear, brakes, landing, right? And I've got autopilot and flaps. I can even turn them on and off, but I don't use them much. I use the EXT panel more as a very quick way for me to look at all the information I need to fly. And the autopilot here has some indicators. This is very, very useful for me to know whether the heading mode is on, because on the plane, if I have to do it, I have to like go to this other view, right? So now without switching the views, I can see the status of my autopilot. I was trying to wire buttons to activate the autopilot from here itself, but that didn't work too well. Anyways, all in all, it's a really useful software for you to just see what's going on with your plane very quickly and take decisions. So that's what I use it for. Okay, and the other thing that I'm going to show you is this plugin called, just a sec, I get it. Yeah, so it's this plugin called 1/24 hour ATC. So let me just show you the screen. 1 second. So yeah, this is the plugin. It's a really nice ATC plugin. The author of the plugin has tried to make it as close to VATSIM as possible. VATSIM is like a virtual, it's a flight sim ATC kind of. There are real people who actually route you, but this is like AI based, and basically the machine does the calculations and tells you what to do. But it's really nice, and I use it for a couple of things. One is it really doesn't use up much of the screen. In a flight simulator, you really need as much screen available as possible for you. So it doesn't like have this huge window which you have to then open up in another monitor, and then I'm doing all these things to look at it. It has a very, very small and very elegant little window which shows only the options that you have available right now. And then the other nice thing about it is it puts all the ATC messages down at the bottom here. So that's like super convenient, because for me to actually see the ATC messages here, it kind of disturbs the flight. It's kind of intrusive, right? But when it shows up here, it really doesn't bother me at all. So these are the 3 new plugins which I've added, and they've really made my flying comfortable. So I hope you guys add these into your flight sim experience as well. So one of the things which I try to do is fly with as little money as possible, right? Because I really don't want to be spending like tons of dollars just buying all those equipment. And I'm saying dollars here because you won't get the equipment here in India, but it's like a lot of stuff which you have to pay a lot of money for. So I'm trying to get the best sim experience out of using as little hardware and software as possible. Yeah. So okay, let's get back to our flight. So I'm going to show you how nicely the ATC actually routes us, because let me just get to start off, I need to dial into the tower or delivery based on what's available. So there's a frequency selectors here which I can choose, but the other cool thing is that I can actually map it to a button on the joystick, and that's what I just pressed right now, and immediately I can choose the frequencies. I need either delivery, tower, or ground. Okay, I got ground. So yeah, we'll start off our flight planning. So let me just show you real quick how things work here. I'm going to open up my checklist and start doing the checklist before we start, otherwise we'll be asking for clearance too early. Okay, landing gear down. Yeah, parking brake is on. It's always on. Battery is on. Battery voltage. So the only disadvantage with this is on the phone is that I have to actually manually check everything. But I think that is closer to the real experience of flying, so I prefer that. Right, landing lights. So it's time to turn them on. Okay. I have no idea why the landing light takes time to come on. And it's taking a lot of time to come on. Okay. Okay, I've got my landing lights, I've got my taxi lights, I need my nav lights. Yeah, I got that too. Need the beacon and the strobe. Okay, okay. And flaps down. Okay, that completes that. Need to go for my second checklist, which is exterior inspection before starting engines. Give me just a second here. This plane is pretty slow. Not sure if I'm going to be able to fly very effectively today. The nav lights seem like they're off, so I'm going to check that. There we go. See, you do need to do the exterior inspection even on a flight simulator. Okay, so my nav lights are on. And I got my amber lights, I've got the beacon lights, I've got my landing and taxi lights looking nice and bright and shiny. Okay. Alright, let's now let's just get the controls checked. Wheels, rudder, ailerons. Wheels, rudder, ailerons. Yeah, looking good. Elevator, looking good. And we're ready to file our flight plan. So I'm going to be, so this is going to be how the ATC addresses me. The first thing you can see here, which is King Air C90B in 43, November 43 X-ray Sierra. Yeah. So, and we are going to be taking off from VOMM, going to VOTP. That's, I don't know how you say that in pilot language. I should be learning it. Departure transition level 5,000 feet, arrival transition level 5,000 feet. Again, I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, and we've got flight level. Yeah, if you know what it means, please let me know in the comments below. So, flight level is 70, which is 7,000 feet. And expected descent is, actually I should set it to 1,000 feet because I don't do more than 1,000 feet now. So that's good. Looks for sit and starts fine. That's nice. So the nice thing with this is the moment I file the plan,
Chennai INTL ground. Good afternoon.
You can see that the message comes here at the bottom, very unobtrusive. Okay, and what we'll also find now is that if I just go over to my
Tirupati by runway 25 departure. Initial altitude
you can see here.
70, sport 2176.
Alright, spot 2176. Sounding good. Alright, so the beauty is this is also already created a flight plan for me. Of course, you can't see the details of the plan, but as soon as we start flying, you're going to start seeing that. I'm going to read this back to the ATC. And I'm going to set up my squawk code.
Initial altitude flight level 70. Sport 2176. In C90B November 43 X-ray Sierra.
2176.
In C90B November 43 X-ray Sierra.
2176.
Contact me again for startup. Set the transponder code 2176 as instructed.
So I'm going to put the transponder on standby. And I've been given clearance to 7,000 feet right away. So I can set that up on my altimeter. You can already see how this is actually so much better, right? I know the flight at which I'm going to be routed after with the explain ATC. I don't know anything. Once I take off, I have to figure out. Sometimes it suddenly tells me that hey, you need to maintain 3,000 feet, and that's when I have to go around and play around with the altitude settings. That's very uncomfortable. So basically, the explain ATC does a lot of routing and stuff, which is very very intrusive to the pilot. It's very difficult to follow the instructions of the explain IDC. I mean, I didn't know this until I switched to this plugin. I'll explain as we fly. Uh, okay, I've set up my altitude and got to open up my checklist. Exterior inspection is done. Power levers are they idle? Yes, it is idle. Propeller levers are full forward. Condition levers are cut off. Yes, perfect. All switches, which means we just check the annunciator. Everything's looking good. Turn off the warnings and we're good to go. Battery switch is already on. Check again. Fuel quantity checked. Okay, we're done with that. Engine start. Okay, now with this ATC, I need to ask for an engine start. So let's do that.
Chennai NTL ground, King Air C90B November 43 X-ray Sierra request startup. King Air C90B November 43 X-ray Sierra, startup approved.
So yeah, we've got the startup approved.
Startup approved. King Air
So let's start off with the
November 43 X-ray Sierra.
startup checklist. Okay, so first things first. Let's get the inverter up. Okay, inverter. Right engine auto ignition. Right engine auto ignition. Right condition lever goes to low idle. Yeah. Right engine and ignition start switch. Okay, yeah. That means we're getting, fire up the propeller on the right. Okay. I'm watching the engine instruments right now. Looking at the RPM. Yeah, we're getting temperature on the gauge. This should happen before 12 seconds. Okay, we've got 52, we've got greater than 5100 RPM. So we turned it off and we checked that off on our checklist. Then we've got condition levers go to high idle. And I need to check the oil pressure and the engine RPM. Both look fine. Okay. Next we've got right engine generator on. Okay. There's a reset, but it never works. So I always turn it on, turn it off, and turn it on. Yeah, looking good. So with this checklist, the other interesting thing, I'm having to actually check things on the annunciator panel and stuff. It's not anymore like it detects everything and ticks it, which is how it should be, right? Because that's how things are going to happen when you're actually flying the plane. I just switch over to the flight screen so you can see what's going on. Yeah, and then I've got my right generator is on. Right condition lever goes back to low idle. Okay, and we turn off the right engine ignition arm. All right, and we turn on the left engine ignition. Yeah, left condition lever is at low idle. Checked, and then we've got. Let's see. Yeah, it's time to start the engine. The left engine.
King Air C90B November 43 X-ray Sierra, contact tower on 118.1. Have a nice flight.
This is a really cool thing. Actually, it has detected that I'm already on the runway that I need to take off on. So she's just gone ahead and given me the clearance.
Contact tower on 118.1. King Air C90B November 43 X-ray Sierra.
Okay, I have to contact tower, so I'm going to click that button, select the tower frequency, and yeah, I'm just going to have to request takeoff. No taxiing because I'm already on the runway. Okay, anyway, we're done with this. So let's go. And left condition lever goes to high idle. I should have turned off the ignition switch, but left on oil pressure and RPMs looking fine. Turbine RPM, fine. Left generator needs to be turned on. I think it makes sense to turn it on high idle. It probably has, yeah. So once I turn it on, I bring the levers back to low idle and I turn off the auto ignition. So yeah, that's our engine all set up. Okay, before taxi, checklist, flaps go up, done. Avionics master switch is on. Lights as required. As usual, explain doesn't give me the benefit of saving these settings. It's my plane, save my settings. No, not gonna happen. It's kind of nice when you can set things up. And yeah, maybe that's a nice little input for explain, which is, make me feel like it's my plane, right? Allow me to customize it, change settings, do stuff. I think I love it. Okay, lights, radios as required. So I've already dialed in these frequencies, so I'm gonna skip the step. Transponder needs to be turned on, and so we go on that. All right. So before takeoff is our next list. So I'm gonna push the condition levers high idle. Yeah, since there's no taxiing, we're doing everything in one shot. Set up my elevator trim to 5. It's going to be a very quick journey. Elevator trim, flaps a notch. Yeah. So autopilot off. Yeah, sure, I can check that with my with the screen right here. So there we go. Autopilot is off. Good news. Okay, brakes are on. A final check. Propeller levers are full forward. Yes, condition levers are full forward. I want to check if my heading bug is on the right value. So very quickly here, I'm going to set it up. Okay, so it's pretty laggy. I think I'm going to shut off my browser. I'm going to minimize the lag here. We won't need the browser anyway because I'm also going to turn off my terminal. Okay, should give us a couple of frames. Not great, but something. Okay, requesting takeoff.
Chennai MTL Tower, good afternoon. In C90B November 43 X-ray Sierra on holding point of runway 25, ready for departure.
Okay, we're ready for departure. Everything is set.
In C90B November 43 X-ray Sierra, wind is calm, runway 25, cleared for takeoff.
Okay.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 25, in C90B November 43 X-ray Sierra.
Alright, so brakes are off and I'm going to move on to the next checklist. Okay. Brakes off. Gear off. Not the best of frame rates. I hope it improves as we fly. It's probably because of the amount of terrain it's showing me here. Okay, I'm gonna rotate. And we're off. Wow, this is like doing slow-mo. It's improving already. Okay, gear up. Goes the gear. And flaps. Gotta get that down to normal. Gonna stabilize it at 1,000 feet climb. Gonna lock the autopilot in place. Switch on the nav, heading, altitude, and looks like we're all set to fly. Now I'm gonna Alright, so we're gonna go over to the tower frequency now in just a bit, but I'm not gonna do that until I have my engine and the power, everything configured. That's the advantage of this ATC, much nicer. It doesn't force me to do things. So I'm gonna reduce my power, and then yeah, reduce my power, auto feather. Look at the engine instruments just once quickly. Looking fine. And we'll turn off the taxi and landing lights. Okay, now let's switch over to center. Okay. My airspeeds, everything is looking perfect. Climb to flight 770. Yes, I will do that. I'm already doing that. Yeah, just looking at my panel on the right here, and I can see that right heading 346. Here's the other advantage. It's telling me whether to turn left or right. Right heading 346. Okay. Gonna be a pretty sharp turn. 3, 30, 340. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that should be 346. Nice lake. So really cool thing about the 124th hour ATC is that it doesn't give me descent as climb instructions at the same time that it gives me a turn. That's really bad, especially with the descent. You really have to get things right. You've got to get your propeller. You've got to get your propeller. I'm sorry, I keep going to propeller. I don't know why. You need to get the speed right. You need to get the power right. You need to get the vertical speed. You need to get the altitude down. That's not done very quickly, right? And what happens with the explain ADC is that it just bombards you with all these instructions, and sometimes it'll give you a direction, it'll give you a descent, and then immediately it'll follow it up with a instruction changing it. It really confuses me, right? So yeah, 124th hour is beautiful, and another nice thing, I think by now it should have set up the route, so you can see the route here. I'll show it to you on the other screen. It's really awesome because it shows you the so it has actually routed me around a hill. So it can figure out and smartly route me like this, which is really nice. So yeah, I'm very happy with this particular plugin. Yeah, it's really made my life simple. I can see that our speed is going down a bit, so I'm going to give it a little bit of juice. The engine needs a little bit of juice. We need 140 for the best climb rate on this aircraft. Everything else is looking good. The next thing we'll have to do is when we hit cruise. Oh, yeah, my landing lights are off. Everything's off. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly check that. Yeah, so when we hit cruise, we'll bring the propeller down to 1900 RPM. Check the cruise bar and have a look at the engine instruments to see that everything's fine. Have a look at the fuel system to see that there's nothing going wrong there. Right, so we are expecting runway 26. 26 is the runway that we are probably going to land on. So I can already plan for my landing. So the thing with flying planes is that by default you're controlling your instincts to stay calm, because a plane never really responds well when you act reckless, or when you're nervous and you change a lot of things, you hit a lot of buttons, or you just keep like moving your flight controls. The plane is going to behave very badly, right? So you always want to ensure that you're calm, you're giving the right inputs to the plane, you're looking at everything. You need to be in control of the scene. You need to be on top of the plane. Right? So it's damn important that uh, you get this right. Otherwise, the issue becomes that you end up doing all kinds of stupid things, and yeah. So having a lot of instructions at the same time is super bad news. So that's why I really like this particular plugin. So you can see, so there's also another nice thing with the 124th hour ATC. It shows you a very small little indication here of what's really happening. So right now we're a little off course, uh, but so at least we know where we stand in terms of the flight plan, right? Uh, so yeah, so this is the hills on the right, which we need to avoid when we as we fly. So we're already avoiding them, as you can see. But you'll also see that as I get close to the landing, it routes me very nicely around the hills and pretty close to the hills, so it's kind of fun to fly around them as well. It's a pleasant experience. Yeah, I practiced this flight once before, I should tell you that. But the reason was because I wanted to ensure that I was able to demo all these new tools that I have effectively for you. I don't usually practice my flights. This was the only flight for which I actually practiced before I flew the plane. So things are looking good, except that we'll probably be we're leveling off. We just get the propeller down to 1900 RPM. Uh, there we go, 1900 RPM. Check the power. That's going to take some time because we need to wait for the speed to stabilize, and then we'll know whether we're flying too fast or slow. So the maximum cruise speed of this aircraft is actually, it's 200 knots, I think. But I find that the plane, in X-plane at least, the plane flies very comfortably at around 180 knots. 190 knots is not bad, but beyond that, things start going wrong. Uh, Something goes off. It's So I always make sure that I'm at 180 knots. I've seen funny thing happens when you go faster. Like sometimes the autopilot doesn't work effectively, and sometimes it's just that the plane starts veering downwards, and no matter how much I pull on the flight controls, it just doesn't go back up. I crashed once doing that, but then I realized it's kind of a stall. So what I do is just turn off the autopilot and everything, let the plane recover. So you just pull, once you turn off the autopilot, you just pull back, and usually the trim is like gone down to a very low value. So you keep the flight up and you use the trim, bring the flight back level. Uh, check everything, check your engine instruments, check the speed, and then you attempt to turn on the autopilot again and fix the settings. So sometimes the autopilot is set up in these situations is like um, it tends to sort of set the vertical speed very high or vertical speed very low. I don't know how that happens, but that happens. So when you turn on the autopilot, you'll have a slightly ugly period where the climb rate is insane, and you'll be using the. So what I do at that point is like very quickly set the vertical speed, and then I hit the down button, maybe 20, 30 times to bring the plane under control. Yeah, it's pretty bad when that happens. So I just saw the plane creep over 180 and I reduced the power a bit. Now we seem to be going pretty constant at 180 knots. So I'm going to say cruise power is checked. Okay, we need to do 356 according to the ATC. So let's get that done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Since it said 10 to the right, I had to click the button just 10 times. So I'm counting it. That way I know I'm accurate. Checking the engine instruments once. Fuel flow, everything's looking good. We're running nice and cool. Yep, nice. Fuel system. Let's take a quick look at the fuel system. Yeah, everything looks good. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to check, but I do check the fuel flow and it's not bad, and none of the circuit breakers or none of the other things are flashing, so I guess we're safe. Okay, so fuel system is checked. Next, we have to wait for descent. It's going to be some time. Let me just check with my GPS here. We're almost approaching the first waypoint in our journey. Let me just show that to you. Yeah, you can see the flight plan there. And you can see that we're nicely avoiding the hills. But it's not like the ATC doesn't have a sense of adventure. You'll see that very soon. We'll be vectored around pretty close to the hills. Yes, we're flying textbook right now. 180 knots at the height that we want. Engine instruments are cool. Power is actually low. I mean, I find it very surprising. The amount of power you need in different locations seems to be different. Here at 900 Newton squared, I'm getting like 180 knots. But sometimes I have to push it to 1200 to get 180 knots. I don't know. I just guess it depends on the air pressure, atmospheric pressure maybe the height I'm flying. I really don't know. Yeah, that's another thing I have to figure out. My guess is it's easier to fly faster at higher speeds, but then it's not so easy to get the fuel flowing. Especially on the King Air, I've seen that the fuel flow keeps going down as you climb higher. And when you're at like 21,000 feet, the plane's like, it crawls, it really doesn't go fast at all. Yeah. We're in very good shape. And I hope to keep it that way till we hit the rubber on the runway. It's going to be nice and easy. 356, 356. The ATC also does route other planes, but past 2 times I've been flying, there's really no flight around me. Let's just confirm that with the map. Oh, there are other planes, but yeah. The good news is that they're all far away from me, which is just as well. Let's have a look at our GPS. It's going to be some time before we get any instructions. All right. This ATC keeps me nice and relaxed during the flight. Of course, they say that as a pilot, one of the things you learn to do is to multitask when you get a lot of instructions. But I don't know. Uh, my guess is the explain ATC was pushing me too much. I hope not. Hills are getting closer to us. Descend to 3,300 feet. That's my next instruction. Three thousand three hundred feet. Let's get her down. First thing I'm going to do now is reduce the power, and then I'm going to arm the altitude and going to get the plane to start moving down. Oh, what happened? Oh, okay. I hadn't turned on the vertical speed. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, need to get it up just a bit. Nice. 1,000 feet per second. And you just notice that I only got a descend instruction. It gives me enough time to set the power, set the aircraft, get the configuration going before I do anything else. Turn left heading 30. Let me just change that. I'm looking at the EXT plane as I do this because it's very easy to see the alignment of the compass on the EXT panel rather than on the plane. You can see we're pretty close to the hills and we're descending. So normally if this was explained doing this to me, I would be really scared. There are times when suddenly the plane just says 500 feet and you're like hurrying around, getting the plane set for climbing up because you know that you're not going to make it. It's really bad. Okay, I'm not really bashing up the explain ATC though. I think it's pretty nice. Uh, it wasn't as bad as it looks in the forums, like where they keep cursing it. But what's really nice about it is that it gets you off to a good start. The taxiing and all those parts are really much better than this ATC. But yeah, the flying experience not so good. So I think just want to have a quick look and see. Yeah, it's not a bad time to get our aircraft speed down. We want to hit 160 knots. And it's again not a very bad time to check on the landing checklist, start getting things ready. So I'm gonna cut the power here and still at 180 knots. Bring it down 3. You can see that there's a nice little dent here. That's exactly what we're going to go through. Okay, we're going to be hitting our altitudes soon. So these hills are now right next to us. Yeah. If I turn left, I'm in trouble. Okay, I'm getting ready. Turn left heading 295. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should be 295. We're going to go pretty close to the hills. But it's not bad either. We're going to be leveling off soon, so now you know you will feel pretty comfortable once I level off. So here we go, we're leveling off. I'm going to push on the engines a bit now. 700. The airspeed is climbing. You want to stay at 160. So at this point, I'm also going to start with my landing checklist. Turn on the standby fuel pumps. I need the flaps as well. So we're flying nice and close to the hill here, but you can see it's not too bad at all. Yeah, we're hitting our altitude and we hit it nice and comfortably. Speed's going down for some reason, I don't know why. Oh, I should not. I should be going for a target of 140 knots right now. This is not good. What I'm doing is so we're going to be handed over to approach pretty soon, and those guys will take care of our actual landing. I'm at 295 as the ATC wanted me to. Nice. Establish at 140 knots. I think if we start to go down more, then I will compensate. Okay, should be getting our next set of instructions. Why? How do I know? Is because this thing is showing me that I'm at the particular waypoint right now. I can see that from the blue marker here. I think the runway is straight ahead of us actually. Let me just have a look out for it right away. see much. I think we're a little too far away to be able to spot the runway. It's more of a fun exercise. So I chose Tirupati because it's surrounded by hills, so it's not so easy for the ATC to route us. 264, you got that? 264. Oh, 264. Yeah, that's 264. We got, yeah, we got 264. Let's connect tower. Right, so the ATCs asked us to continue our approach. Oh, I did a misapproach by accident. Okay, I'm sorry guys, but I'm gonna have to shut off this flight. This is going to be very bad, so I'll let me not continue the flight right now. Thanks for watching guys, but I just wanted to show you how the ATC and all the other things work, the plugins and stuff. Makes for a nice flight. Missed approach will make me do a lot of flying before, and I really don't have the time, so I'm going to cut the flight at this point. Okay, thanks guys.